Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. Today we are back here to remove a background or simply change a color of a background in the studio. So I've been in the studio and I've taken some photos here and I'm not too happy how they turned out. You can see there's a few crinkle lines down the bottom of the image here. I also am not too happy with this pink color. I wanted it a bit more vibrant, and overall I just want to clean up the whole image. So how we're going to go about this is I've imported the image into my Lightroom and I've looked through and found the one I wanted to change. I'm going to right click on it, edit in, and move it over to Photoshop. And this is one of the awesome things about Adobe, their whole suite really. Everything's got this dynamic link and they'll all just link together and work in unison. So we're going to wait till that loads up, and as you can see it has done it here. And first things first, we're going to come over to our background layer and hit Ctrl J to duplicate this layer. We are then going to rename this to subject. And this layer is going to be used for our subject selection. So to do this, we're going to come down to our quick selection tool or whatever you may decide to use. You're going to go select and mask. And under the view, we are going to change this to on black. Now, all this is meaning is when we've selected out the subject, we're going to see the subject on a black backdrop to make it easier to make sure that we've got all our selection right and everything like that. So I've got it set at about 75%, and then we're going to start our selection. So to do this, I come over to my quick selection tool, or alternatively, we can just go up here and go select subject, and Photoshop will do its best to try and pick out the subject in the scene. And as you can see, it's done a pretty great job straight away. Now, there are a few little parts in this that I would love to clean up. So we are just going to simply zoom in slightly, and there's a few different ways we can do this. So we can either just brush those areas on or use our quick selection tool once again to add them on and let it do it. But for this one, since it's got pretty much all the arm right, I'm just going to brush on the extra layer. I'm going to bring my brush size down a bit and just simply repaint in this part of the arm. And you can see it's simply just painting it all back in. We then also have a few parts here, and it hasn't actually selected these out. So we're going to click on the minus button right here. We are then going to reduce this size down even more and just paint these little parts in. Great, so I'm pretty happy with my selection now, so I'm just going to come down and under the output 2, I just want to make sure I'm going a new layer with layer mask and then click OK. And you'll see down here it's actually created us a new layer, which we can call this subject selection. And now our whole subject is actually selected off the backdrop. So the cool part about this is we can then come down the bottom and add a new layer, go across and go solid color, make this color whatever we want, click OK and select it under our subject. And you can see straight away, we've got a pretty good final result. You could put text over the top of this or behind it. So if we were to create a text layer, you were making something for an advertisement company and you wanted to call it Buy Me Now. Don't know. We would simply just make this a bit larger, and let's make it say 1,000, really big. And we were to put this behind. And you can see it does pretty cool things. You could then animate this in a program like Premiere, but that would be another story or anything like that. But it's basically creating a three-dimensional selection of our subject to the backdrop. So what we're going to do now, because this doesn't look super realistic, there's no shadows or anything like that, is put the subject shadow in. You can see in my original image here, there was this shadow coming through the backdrop. And so to do this, what we're going to do is come back down to the background layer, click Ctrl J once more, and rename this as a shadow layer. We then come across to this shadow layer and pull it on top of our color fill layer, come up and click it as multiply. And you can see right now, we are pretty much getting our backdrop as a nice, bright, vibrant color without any of those imperfections on the backdrop. And yeah, it's looking really, really great. So you could just export this here, crop your picture, and yeah, be done with it. But we're going to refine this slightly more. And to do this, we are simply going to create a new shadow mask and just paint in the shadows. We actually want to make this an inverse shadow mask. So you'll hold Alt or Control and click create a new one. We then come up to our paintbrush tool and make this quite soft, make the brush quite big, and we're just going to paint in the shadows. And you can see they'll start to form in the background here. Perfect. Now you may want to change this color again or simply make it like one of your previous colors. And you might run into an issue where if I was to make this like a bluey tealy color, you can see my original color is actually being picked up right the way through the selection. Now, the easiest way to fix this is to come back down and create a new layer in our bottom menu. We are then going to put it on top of the subject selection, and we will just call this one edge. You will then come and grab your clone stamp tool, and we're just going to make sure the flow and the opacity are quite far down, something like 30. We then are going to zoom in, make a selection of the skin, and just paint it around the edge here. Now, you can see when I'm doing this, it's actually not locked to where our subject is. You can see there's quite a bit of bleed, and we're actually painting a new shoulder, which is not what we want. So we're just going to go Control Z to back that off. We are then going to create a clipping mask, which if you right click, you'll be able to create clipping mask. And this creates a mask onto our subject selection. And so now when we select our subject, we are actually bound in that subject selection, which is great. We can just paint over this, make sure none of that pink is there, and quite quickly and easily get a lot of that pink away. And there you have it. You have successfully changed your background from a pink to any color you want. I hope this has been useful for you guys and you got something out of it. If you have, make sure to subscribe down below. Only 20% of the people viewing these photos are actually subscribed. So go down there, hit that bell notification on, and we'll see you next time. Bye.